The best coffee cocktails. Espresso martinis were popular last year, and let's face it, they still are now. But alcoholic beverages containing caffeine aren't just found in swanky bars and restaurants. We enjoy unwinding with an alcoholic beverage, and we're constantly seeking ways to incorporate our obsession with coffee into our daily life. Making cocktails is sometimes a tricky process, and some people even pursue degrees in college-level cocktail design. The addition of coffee not only intensifies the flavor, but also increases the complexity of any alcoholic beverage. In this video, we've put together a delicious list of some of the best coffee cocktail recipes that can be made right at home. Feel free to prepare a handful of these coffee-inspired beverages the next time you're throwing a party. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoy the video. Homemade espresso martini. We can't talk about coffee cocktails without mentioning the traditional homemade espresso martini. Espresso, vodka, and simple syrup are the only three basic ingredients needed to make this refreshing beverage. The ideal espresso for this is freshly brewed. Just be sure to give it some time to chill in the fridge so that it doesn't melt all of your ice. By the way, you can easily change the sweetness of this drink by adjusting the amount of simple syrup. We suggest starting out light and adjusting to your taste, or even omitting it entirely for a more bitter cocktail. Mix all ingredients with ice, then strain into a martini glass that has been chilled. If you want to be cute, add 3 coffee beans on top. Then you may enjoy. Spiced rum chai latte. One of the best alcoholic beverages to combine with coffee is rum. There are numerous rum coffee varieties, one of which being spiced rum. Spiced rum is similar to regular rum, with the exception that it matures for a while and is then spiced to give it a richer and more unique flavor. As if that weren't enough, adding chai will further improve the flavor of this beverage. Given that you already have the necessary components, preparing this drink is comparable to producing Kahlua in terms of ease of preparation. It can even be prepared in bulk, making it the ideal beverage for large gatherings. Additionally, you'll end up with a creamier texture because milk is also added to this drink. White Russian. This traditional house cocktail should be in every home bartender's repertoire. After all, the White Russian is creamy, tastes like coffee, and is relatively simple to create. One way to make a White Russian is to construct it on the rocks, watch the colors swirl, then stir it and drink it. The other requires you to froth it up by shaking it. You can play around with it whatever much or however little you like. To amp up the flavor, try sprinkling on some cinnamon, nutmeg, or, dare we say it, pumpkin spice. Without the undesirable bitterness or acidity, it possesses the creamy mouthfeel and lovely flavors of a conventional White Russian. Whiskey espresso martini. A traditional coffee cocktail called the espresso martini primarily contains espresso and Kahlua, a coffee liqueur. However, by including a few extra ingredients, such as whiskey, you may create the whiskey espresso martini, one of the most popular coffee cocktails currently trending online. To spice up the drink, you may also add a tiny bit of caramel syrup. In a shaker with ice, combine coffee liqueur, cold brew coffee, whiskey, and 1/2 ounce of simple syrup. Shake everything up until the drink is thoroughly chilled. This normally takes 30 seconds. Pour the cocktail through a strainer into a martini glass. This keeps ice chunks out of the martini, resulting in a silky smooth drink. Add creamy foam on top and then drizzle with caramel syrup, and then you're done. Coffee old-fashioned. When you want something straightforward and understated and not overly sweet, you can always reach for an old-fashioned. The old-fashioned is a fantastic candidate for recipe changes since it only requires 3 ingredients, sugar, bitters, and liquor, that work harmoniously together. This modern take on a classic is framed with robust coffee and traditionally poured over an ice cube. Dalgona coffee cocktail. With the addition of equal amounts of sugar, coffee granules, and warm water, the coffee variation known as Dalgona produces a fluffier form of caffeinated beverage. Although Dalgona tastes great, its popularity is mostly due to how simple it is to create and how readily accessible the ingredients are in an average kitchen. First, prepare your Dalgona coffee. Then, combine ice, vodka, Kahlua, and simple syrup in a cocktail shaker or resealable jar and shake for 30 seconds or until thoroughly blended and chilled. Then strain the cocktail and dollop the fluffy Dalgona over the top. Kahlua Midnight Coffee Cocktail. One of the liqueurs that is most frequently combined with coffee is Kahlua. It has a silky texture and is made of sugar, vanilla, coffee, and rum. Since it's a common ingredient in many coffee bars, you'll find it in many coffee cocktail recipes. It's usually served with Irish cream in it. One of this liqueur's variants is the delicious Kahlua Midnight. It tastes pretty much like ordinary Kahlua, only stronger because it contains more rum than usual. It's also a great starter ingredient for anyone interested in learning more about mixology. Coffee Merry Berry. People tend to stick to safe citrus flavors and overlook how adaptable coffee is when preparing fruit-based cocktails. There are endless fruit varieties available to try that go great with coffee. Berries in all varieties, sizes and flavors are one of our favorite ingredients to employ. These pair perfectly with delicate coffees from Jamaica, Ethiopia or Kenya. This is the pinnacle of holiday cocktails. It's the perfect beverage with a stunning combination of winter berries, a sugar rim, a strip of orange zest, and a candy cane as garnish. Kentucky Whipped Coffee. Another beverage that is a standard in many pubs is bourbon, a type of whiskey manufactured from corn. It is a perfect accompaniment to coffee since it offers overtones of caramel, vanilla, and cinnamon, all of which can significantly improve the flavor of the coffee. Kentucky Whipped Coffee resembles Irish coffee quite a bit, although it is sweeter and smoother in texture. Fresh coffee, whiskey, cream, and sugar are all included in the recipe. Any brand should be suitable. The name of this coffee cocktail comes from the fact that bourbon originated in Kentucky and is frequently referred to as Kentucky bourbon. Even on its own, alcohol is pretty pleasurable. However, if you're trying to up the ante, a dash of coffee might be your best bet. Your favorite beverage gains a creamy texture and a higher level of flavor by doing this. As you now know, coffee and alcohol go perfectly together. There are an infinite amount of coffee beverages that you can make if you use your imagination. Which one of these coffee cocktails do you think you'll attempt to make in the future? Let us know in the comments down below. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel for more.